Welcome to your Tech News Today, where we keep you informed and empowered by giving you the latest tech stories that impact your daily life. It's Tuesday, March 19th. I'm Monica G, sitting in for Mike James. Coming up in a bit, we'll tell you about new tax scams that are spreading, then learn how to regain your anonymity. Plus, your sensitive medical records may have been exposed, and you won't believe why one Blockbuster video store still exists. We'll get started in a moment, but first, I'd like to recognize our partners who help make these podcasts possible. We start with a warning about a new batch of tax scams making the rounds. Every year, it gets easier to file your taxes online, but unfortunately, as convenience grows, so does the number of scammers trying to rip you off, and it's not just the same old tricks anymore. The IRS is now warning everyone about a new twist we need to be on the lookout for. In the past, we've told you about fake IRS calls where crooks try to trick us into giving up valuable information. They pretend to be an IRS employee or some type of federal agent and demand you pay non-existent overdue taxes immediately using wire transfer, prepaid credit cards, or gift cards. Right. Like the government wants to be paid with an iTunes gift card. If you don't pay up, the criminal says they'll come to your house and arrest you. Another version is when someone pretends to be from the IRS and calls you, pretending to be super helpful. They'll say you're entitled to a big refund, you just have to hand over some personal information first. Now there's a new spin. Impersonators are calling, claiming they're from the Taxpayer Advocate Service, which is an independent organization within the IRS. They even spoof the number from its official offices. It could be a person or a robocaller asking you to call back, but either way, they're looking to get a hold of your personal information, which includes social security numbers or individual taxpayer identification numbers. Here's the thing. The Real Taxpayer Advocate Service exists to help you resolve IRS-related problems. But you call them. They do not call you. There are other ways to spot tax scammers. To find out how to spot them and protect yourself, go to Komando.com and read our article titled, Clever Tax Scams Are Spreading Like Crazy Online. How Not to Be a Victim. It's a good read that can keep you protected from scams. It's no secret that we're being watched and tracked in many situations. Just look at the tech we rely on daily. Smartphones, tablets, and computers, for example. Your smartphone knows where you are, therefore, so do a lot of advertisers. Google, Facebook, and Amazon probably know us better than relatives do. Not to mention, there are security cameras just about everywhere now. That's why it's nearly impossible to regain your anonymity. But one expert has found a few ways to protect your identity and get off the grid in today's connected world. Be ready, though. It'll take some serious commitment and cash. We're talking about Jameson Lopp, the CTP of a Bitcoin security company called Casa. He has some not-so-simple steps to get off the grid. In fact, he has compiled a list of 15 steps to escape the all-seeing eyes of corporate America and the government. Some of the ideas are pretty extreme. One of the easier steps is something we've suggested using time and time again, a VPN, which stands for a virtual private network. Lopp uses one to mask his IP address when he's online, even when he's at home. But there's more. You know what? There's too many to tell you about in this podcast. It's easier just to go over to Komando.com and read our article, Expert Reveals How to Be Truly Anonymous in Today's Surveillance World. It'll take some time, but with planning and a nice chunk of change, you'll learn how to become anonymous. Just ahead, thousands of medical records were exposed, and bullies are finding a new way to attack kids. Right now, let me tell you about our sponsor at Robinhood. Robinhood is an investing app that lets you buy and sell stocks, ETFs, options, and cryptos, all commission-free. Plus, there's no account minimum deposit needed to get started, so you can start investing at any level. The simple, intuitive design of Robinhood makes investing easy for newcomers and experts alike. View easy-to-understand charts and market data and place a trade in just 4 taps on your smartphone. With Robinhood, you can learn how to invest in the market as you build your portfolio. Discover new stocks, track your favorite companies, and get custom notifications for price movements so you never miss an opportunity to invest. Robinhood is giving listeners of Tech News a free stock like Apple, Ford, or Sprint to help you build your portfolio. All you have to do is sign up at money.robinhood.com. That's money.robinhood.com. Let's all do another facepalm regarding a company's efforts, or lack thereof, to keep your data safe. This time, your sensitive medical records are impacted. Many data breaches happen when hackers break into a system with the intention of stealing information. But sometimes hackers don't have anything to do with it. Companies just simply forget to add things like a password, leaving your data exposed for just about anyone to see. That's exactly what happened recently with a health software company that you've probably never heard of. Regardless, it has access to large amounts of data like medical records, prescription information, and doctor's notes, and all those records were found to be exposed. We're talking about Metatab Software, Inc. It makes software used to keep track of electronic medical records. Apparently, it's up to more than that. A cybersecurity company in Dubai found that Metatab's server was not protected by a password, and thousands of records were being leaked. How, you ask? Because of an unsecured fax server. Yes, faxes, the 8-track tape of the communication world, are still being used. Metatab processes electronic faxes for various healthcare providers because that method is still heavily used for sharing patient files. The researchers who found it said the exposed database contained over 6 million records. And since there was no password, those faxes could be read in their entirety and in real time. Exposed data includes very personal health records like blood test results, but that's not all. Names, addresses, dates of birth were also exposed, along with some health insurance information, payment data, and social security numbers. Like any major data breach, there are a few security checkups you should do to make sure your personal information is secure. For one, keep a close eye on your financial statements and watch for suspicious activity. If you see any, notify your bank ASAP. Also, read every piece of mail that comes from your doctor or clinic that you go to. Make sure there's no medical fraud showing up. And finally, watch out for phishing scams that might try piggybacking on this data breach. Scammers could spoof messages pretending to be official information about the breach, but are just scams trying to rip you off. It's always better to be safe than sorry. If you think Facebook, Instagram, and other social media platforms are the only way children are being bullied today, think again. While we're looking over our kids' shoulder or monitoring their social media with the hopes of protecting them, bullies are finding other avenues. They've turned to text, emails, and get this, Google Docs is a new way to bully others. According to bullyingstatistics.org, around 9 out of 10 teens have a cell phone, and about 20% of them will be victims of a text bully. You might be shocked to find out this method of bullying is more common among girls. Unfortunately, this type of bullying may go unnoticed by parents since texts are not visible on social media. Children might be scared to have their phone taken away if they tell an adult it's happening, so they'll keep it hidden. Bullying through Google Docs is fairly new. Here's how it works. Someone creates a Google Doc and shares it with a group of people. Anyone that it's shared with can write messages on it, and others can see them in real time. An online monitoring service called Bark said it's seen over 60,000 cases of kids ganging up on other children in Google Docs recently. They work in tandem, writing insensitive things, add images, or embed videos, all in the name of being cruel. The best way to know if your kids are being bullied is to have an open dialogue, ask questions, and make sure to be supportive. Some animals, like salamanders, are able to regrow body parts that have been cut off in just a couple of months. Why can't humans? Well, technology is in the works that might actually make it possible. People who have lost limbs might one day have the ability to regrow them after a DNA switch. Scientists have been examining genes of certain animals to learn how regenerating limbs and organs is accomplished. What they found is amazing. A master control gene called early growth response, which is also found in humans, is responsible for regeneration. Researchers from Harvard University discovered that a section of non-coding DNA controls the activation of early growth response. Think of it as a power switch for the regeneration process. The problem has been the genes found in humans are wired differently than those in animals, which limits the early growth process. Scientists are now looking to find a way to change this so humans can also have regenerating powers. It's not ready yet, but someday we might be able to heal ourselves in ways we never imagined. Pretty cool. Coming up, MySpace has terrible news for nostalgia lovers, and you won't believe why the last Blockbuster video still exists. Right now, a quick thank you to our friends who help make these podcasts possible. Well, here's a blast from the past. Do you remember the social media site MySpace? It was all the rage in the early 2000s. You know, before Facebook came along and crushed Tom's soul. Tom, of course, created the site and was everyone's first friend. Most of us haven't even thought of MySpace in years, but if you ever want to go back and take a stroll down memory lane, you might be disappointed at what you find. A note found at the top of the site's page reads, "As a result of a server migration project, any photos, videos, and audio files you uploaded more than 3 years ago may no longer be available on or from MySpace." That means millions of songs uploaded between 2003 and 2015 are gone forever. So if you ever want to go back and listen to the playlist you created oh so long ago, forget about it. It's gone. Thanks, Tom. And speaking of days gone by, remember heading to the video store on a Friday night to grab a few movies to watch over the weekend? Stores like Blockbuster and Hollywood Video were glorious shrines for the amateur film buff. You could spend hours in there searching for the perfect film. Sadly, places like that have gone the way of the dinosaur, extinct. In fact, there's only one Blockbuster Video location still open in the U.S. You won't believe why it's still around. The last Blockbuster is in Bend, Oregon, and appears to be still going strong. Why, you ask? According to the store manager, it's because there's a really loyal pool of customers. But it's not only loyalty. The majority of patrons are a bit older and they can't use Netflix. The community is also great at supporting local businesses. Branded t-shirts, hoodies, and everything else sold inside the Blockbuster that supports the business is made locally. And locals aren't the only ones supporting the location. It draws in waves of visitors for nostalgia purposes. Tons of people show up so they can take selfies from inside the store and post them on social media. It's become a bit of a phenomenon, really. By the way, once you're done listening to Tech News Today, do us a favor and give us a good rating on wherever you're listening to us. Give us a few good words so others can find us more easily. We'd really appreciate it. And finally, for today's Commando Kicker. When you think of virtual reality, you probably imagine someone playing a game in a fantasy world, space, or some other imagined reality. But that may not be the end of what virtual reality can be used for, as a group of therapists is harnessing the technology to heal. Researchers at the University of Colorado are utilizing virtual reality to help those who may suffer from anxiety, depression, and other fears by placing them in situations where they can safely face those fears. They can be used to develop the coping strategies that will allow patients to solve problems in their lives. If these early tests are successful, virtual reality could soon be a part of the new standard in treating depression and anxiety. For more fun and interesting facts, go to Commando.com and search for the Commando Kicker. That's your tech news today, and if you enjoyed it, check out our other digital updates. You'll get tons of great information like our consumer tech update, packed with facts, opinion, and introducing you to the latest going on in tech underneath the surface. Tech news this week filled with top tech stories, scams, security alerts, product reviews, and the crazy happenings in the world of technology. And don't miss Commando On Demand, where Kim provides in-depth insight on the ever-changing technology landscape by talking to tech industry movers and shakers. Subscribe for free on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, or Podnet.com. You'll be glad you did. And that's your tech news today. Thanks for listening.